Today is Thursday, June 17, 2021. We would like to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, approval of the minutes for June 3rd, 2021. If there are no objections, the minutes will be approved as, go ahead, Jane.
I just have a correction. Let's see. The back of the second page under manual checks, the amount does not match. The amount listed in the motion, which was $1,604.76, does not match what is in the chart, which is $21,398.88. That needs to be corrected, please.
Okay. All right. Are there any other objections to the minutes? Hearing none, they will be approved as presented. Approval of accounts payable for June 10th, 2021. If there are no objections, the amount of $649,049 will be approved. For the approval of accounts payable for June 17th, 2021. If there are no objections, the amount of $73,326.37 will be approved. For approval of manual checks for June 11th, 2021, if there are no objections, for the amount of $111,580.24 will be approved. And also for approval of manual checks for June 18th, 2021, if there are no objections, for the amount of $426,081.38, that will be approved. Approval of payroll for June 10th, 2021, if there are no objections, for the amount of $273,545.30, that amount will be approved. And now we'll be moving on to agenda item number 1, Nikki Painter, County Clerk's Office, approval of depository bonds for fiscal year 2021 to 2022. The floor is yours, ma'am.
All right. We were notified on January 13th from the sheriff that we needed to increase the pledge securities from Bank of Charlestown, Jefferson Security Bank, BB&T, and United Bank would stay the same. So I emailed you copies of the all of the resolutions that we did receive. Bank of Charlestown was raised to $20 million. Jefferson Security Bank was raised to $1.5 million. BB&T was raised to $3.5 million, and United Bank did stay the same at $2.5 million.
Okay. And what was the reason that they needed to be raised?
Because of the account balances in the 3 accounts that needed to be raised. The balances were above the pledge securities that we had in place for last year.
Understood. Okay. All right. Well, I'll move a motion to approve the depository bonds for fiscal year 2021 to 2022.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item number 2, Michelle Gordon, our Finance Director, FY22 COVID-19 Emergency Financial Policy Discussion Action, American Rescue Plan Public Sector Revenue Loss Replacement and Transfer. Go ahead, Andrew. The floor is yours.
Okay. For the first item, as you know, for the county originally implemented COVID-19 pandemic emergency financial policy in March of 2020. The policy was reviewed on a quarterly basis throughout fiscal year 21 and was most recently reviewed on March the 18th of 2021. At that time, the expenditure deferrals were lifted for equipment, materials and supplies, contractual and professional services, as well as for vacant positions. Additional deferrals remained in effect through June 30th of 2021 for part-time and underutilized staff, overtime, travel and training, and from the capital outlay fund. I did include a copy of the email that was sent to departments. Departments at this point would like to know if the county Commission plans to lift those remaining expenditure deferrals on July the 1st, 2021 or for fiscal year 22, now that the majority of the COVID-19 restrictions have been lifted in the state.
So I guess I have a question on the part-time and underutilized staff. How many of those staff members have been retained, or were they let go?
We don't really have we don't really have very many part-time permanent. There might be a couple of those. I believe those were retained. Part-time primarily related to our seasonal staff, meaning that if they needed seasonal help, if it wasn't necessary for the department to continue operations, they were not to hire any seasonal staff. Seasonal staff typically is hired in the assessor's office, the tax office, and then we hired someone to help with payment processing in ambulances, typically for those things that have a seasonal fluctuation.
Okay.
Underutilized staff were to be used in place of hiring any of those temporary seasonal part-time people.
Okay.
All right.
And I would say the last of the hiring deferrals, probably Roger's position that was on the meeting last week. That was probably the last position that wasn't.
And then just real quick on the travel and training, of course, going into the next fiscal year, we reduced everybody's travel budget by 75%.
Correct.
Okay, so we would need a motion to basically,
Motion to either continue or discontinue the COVID-19 emergency financial policy deferral as of, or to continue it through whatever date. Motion's at the bottom of the page.
okay. What's the pleasure of the group? I'm certainly okay with not continuing this at this point. I think we're kind of out of the woods. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Jane or Caleb?
I think we're okay. I'll know more when I hear from Michelle about the American Rescue Plan, but it looks like, we're getting some money in that we could use in various, it's not as limiting, but, I think we could lift it now, and then if things don't turn out the way we want, we could come up with another policy.
I'm on the same mindset as Commissioner Tab. Although we do know that the rescue funds cannot be used for hiring, correct?
They can be used for replacement of any positions that have been cut or laid off.
Okay, all right.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Yes, so I'll make a motion to discontinue the COVID-19 emergency financial policy deferrals as of 7/1, July 1st, 2021.
Okay, I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right.
For the second item that I have, American Rescue Plan Act, Public Sector Revenue Loss Transfer. As a general reminder to those that are watching, the county does have a special session scheduled for Wednesday, June the 23rd at 9:30 a.m. to discuss potential additional uses of the American Rescue Plan Act federal grant revenue. And I did email everyone the revenue loss projections for tonight. The American Rescue Plan Act states that counties may use ARP funds for the provision of government services to the extent that the reduction in revenue experienced due to the COVID-19 public health emergency. This means that the amount determined as lost revenue must be used for regular government purposes, except for activities such as rainy days or reserve funds and any debt service payments. Those are not regular government purposes. General revenue is defined as revenues from taxes, current charges, miscellaneous general revenue, and intergovernmental transfers between state and local governments, and excludes federal intergovernmental transfers to counties, including CARES Act funding. I did provide you with a handout. The guidelines instructed that we were to determine the base year. The base year was the last full calendar year prior to the pandemic, so that would have ended on 12/31/2019. And then we needed to come up with our average growth increase for the 3-year period. So for 2017, 2018, and 2019, our average annual increase was 3.5% in general revenues. The guidelines indicate that we are to use the higher of either 4.1% or our actual average annual growth. Our annual growth is only 3.5%, so I used 4.1%, which is in accordance with the guidelines. I removed all of our intergovernmental revenues that were received from federal grants. I removed in-kind contributions because those are essentially a journal entry that I prepared. They're not actual revenue that we received. At the end of 2019, calendar year 2019, we had 24.9 million in revenue. At the end of 2020, we had 24.4 million in revenue that we received during that time period, which was the actual pandemic year. So we had a 2% decrease in actual revenue from our base year throughout the pandemic year. The third column, or the second to last column there, shows what 4.1% increase would be over our 2019, which is our base year. So the 4.1% increase is over the 2019 numbers. And it shows that total revenues without the pandemic, with a 4.1% increase, would have been almost $26 million. So that becomes our counterfactual revenue. Revenue loss is calculated as the difference between our counterfactual revenue and our actual revenue for the pandemic year. So it's $1.5 million. On the third page of that, I would recommend that we have our first draw for $1,534,634.42, and to distribute that as follows, with majority of that, 73% of that being attributed to general fund general revenues of $1,117,994.28. Of those revenues, the hotel occupancy tax is a revenue that we are required to distribute to 4 entities with its dedicated revenue. So I would recommend that we distribute $208,320.07 to the Convention Visitors Bureau, $187,648.47 to Parks and Recreation, $12,338.80 to Arts and Community, or to Historic Landmarks Commission, and $8,332.80 to Arts and Communities. That would make up the total distribution of $1,534,634.42. A couple of weeks ago, we received $5,550,000 in American Rescue Plan grant funding. If we subtract our first draw for lost revenues through the end of 2020, the bulk of the pandemic year, we would have a balance remaining in Fund 207 of $4,016,248.40. I do anticipate that we'll receive the second half of our ARP funds in December of 2021 of $5.6 million, and then our estimated ARP funds left to distribute by the end of December of 2024 would be $9,567,131.80. Do I have any questions?
Michelle, this is Jane, and the amount that you said that would be left, or all the funds together that we will receive, and then taking out if we make this distribution that you just outlined. And is there a time limit on when we spend it, or I know there's restrictions on how you spend it, but is there a time limit?
It must be spent by 12/31/2024. 2024, it must be spent.
Okay. I thought that's what you said, but I wasn't sure. Okay.
So this, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jan, I didn't cut you off. Are you done?
No, I'm done.
Okay, sorry. So this is for 2020, so this time next year, sometime at the first quarter, we could still pull money from the ARP.
Correct.
For losses for 2021.
For 2021, and just because the first 3 months or so of 2021 were still part of the pandemic, I would imagine that our revenue draw in January of 2022 will be pretty similar to that 1.5 million.
Sure.
or lost revenue.
No doubt. Okay. All right. I would like to go ahead and move a motion to, in accordance with federal guidelines, to transfer $1,534,634.42 to the general fund. This will cover the hotel occupancy tax, Convention and Visitors Bureau, Parks and Rec, Historic Landmarks Commission, and Arts and Humanity. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
I know those entities will be very glad to get a chunk of change to get caught up. Especially Parks and Recs, probably. Yeah. And the
Struggling, sure.
But I know the CBB will be happy because they rely on most of their revenue that comes from the hotel tax, which
Right.
hotels, for a long time. Yeah. All right, good deal. Well, thank you. And we're going to move on to agenda item number 3. Steve Holtz with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Association, discussion on a DSA membership payroll concern and requests. Well, sir, how are you?
How you doing, Commissioner? Good. I appreciate you allowing me to come and express a concern of one of our members. Gotta sit sideways in this chair, so. Deputy Chandler, who's a member of our association, also employed by the Sheriff's Office. In 2019, he got deployed to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, with his Army Reserve Unit. He was gone approximately a year, from about December of 19 to December of 2020. At the time, I believe it was September of 2019, the county started using a new payroll system called Munis. That's how we enter our hours, get paid, all that. Someone at the time, whoever was doing our payroll, our office, the sheriff's office, entered his pay codes in incorrectly, which created some confusion in the payroll department about if he was on deployment or not. Once that got ironed out, when he got back from deployment in 2020, there was a miscalculation of hours at that time. I believe they thought they corrected the issue. According to Deputy Chandler, there were some hours that were withheld from his first paycheck when he got back in 2020. In May of this year, I got promoted to lieutenant and became our payroll liaison, I guess, or supervisor for our payroll. At that point, I was asked by another member of our department who's in the military that's getting ready to go to be deployed, if payroll was able to basically show their military time in accordance with the State Code 15.1F1. At that point, I reached out to payroll. Actually, I think I talked to Michelle. She just clicked a couple buttons and they were able to see their hours that they had available for per that state code. At that point, he asked me about so that state code has 2 sections. It has a subpart A and a subpart B. Subpart A is basically servicemen that are employed are able to get 240 hours, 30 days of work to cover their normal reserve duties, drill weekends, their 2 weeks of training, and whatnot. There is a subpart B that covers when you're on deployment. You get an additional 30 days per deployment based on this code site. So this member asked me if he's going to get the other 240. At that point, I reached out to payroll and about the subpart B hours. And then that kind of initiated a review of Deputy Chandler's hours from his deployment about a year prior. Turns out that in 2020, our department and payroll provided him with his subpart A hours. Although there was a continual deployment from 19 to 20. He shouldn't have got those hours. He was overpaid those hours. After all the calculating, it looks like he was overpaid about 120 hours. And no one's contesting that. Deputy Chandler isn't contesting that. It's about $1,900 and change. This is definitely accidental. It was no fault of Deputy Chandler. He was unaware that he was overpaid at the time. Keep in mind, he's a young deputy, recently married. Him and his wife trying to establish themselves. And this definitely creates some kind of financial burden on his part with the three options that he was provided. The three options that he received was to basically cut a check for $1,900 to the county. The other option was for him to get a 20% of his wages to be withheld for approximately 5 pay periods, equates to about $372 a pay. Or the third option was deduct 8 hours of pay for 15 pay cycles. Of course, he went with the least expensive each paycheck, which is that 8 hours of pay. This last paycheck we received from the county, I believe he had started, and I think he got deducted about 8 hours to pay that. Like I said, this is going to be a tremendous financial burden to Deputy Chandler. It goes on for 15 pay cycles. I think that almost takes us towards the end of the year. And he came to me and asked me to advocate, as the president of the DSA on his behalf, and just come up with maybe another option. We're not asking to forgive the debt. Obviously, he owes the county the money. What we came up with is to see if he's able to basically use some of his earned leave and counteract, basically help cover the cost of his overpaid wages, some of them. At that point, I contacted payroll, explained the option, and seek the proof, tried to get approval for that agreement. County, at that point, I was told the county denied the request. I believe that part of the denial was due to, they thought it might have went against state code, specifically 2153, which covers basic overpaid wages. I believe that code was written to protect employees. I think the code is written to set a restriction on the number of hours or amount of the wages that an employer can withhold to overpay or to pay back overpaid wages. And I don't think it would prohibit the county from doing that. Before I came to ask you for this resolution, I wanted to make sure that we're not violating state code. I mean, I don't want to request you guys to try to violate state code. That'd be pretty foolish. I mean, so I contacted the deputy director, who's also their legal counsel for the West Virginia Division of Labor. She's a lawyer, so she basically said I can't create a legal opinion on a specific situation, but she did say, and I'll quote, it is permissible under state law for an employer and employee to enter into a wage assignment for overpayment of wages using earned leave as repayment for the overpaid wages, end quote. So it's clearly not going to violate state law to come to this agreement with Deputy Chandler. There's also concern that it could violate maybe a county policy or, it's my understanding you guys set county policy. I think you guys have the authority and the right to make an exception under certain circumstances. And I just ask that you take a look at all the mitigating circumstances around what occurred to where Deputy Chandler was overpaid inadvertently. Not only does this benefit, I think, Deputy Chandler, I think this will also benefit the county. And, we are short-staffed to begin with. In addition to that, in previous years, our deputies were able to basically carry over 300 hours. This year, we're restricted to the 240 that the majority of county employees can hold over to. And what that means is many of us are going, myself included, are going to have to use 60 more hours of vacation this calendar year than we're used to using. And so a lot of people are trying to use their vacation. We're short-staffed. Deputy Chandler, if he was able to use some of his earned leave to offset the number of hours that he owes the county, or that means that he's working those hours the rest of this year. He's not taking off. He's either going to pay him to help recoup what he was overpaid at no fault of his own, or you're going to pay him to sit home when he could be out here protecting the county.
Yeah, most of the facts that Lieutenant Holtz has stated are correct. I did read the email exchange between you and Department of Labor, and I can't help but wonder if the Department of Labor had been provided with the county's policy, if their response may have been a little bit different. County Policy 201, calculation of compensation specifically states, under no circumstances will advances in wages be made, nor will individual paychecks be issued in advance of a scheduled pay, and any misrepresentation of facts on a timesheet may be grounds for dismissal. I typically do not recommend that we violate county policy or that we supersede county policies. Civil Service Commission and county policy also do not permit pay advances or advances in the payment of vacation leave. Mistakes happen. Nobody's disputing that a mistake happened. We have a handful of these every year. None of the employees have ever asked to be advanced leave. In fact, this is not the largest overpayment I've seen. The largest one that I saw, that employee actually brought us in a check and repaid that amount as soon as we brought it to their attention. All of those employees that have been overpaid have paid it back or brought in a check for a full amount. I believe it sets a bad precedent for future mistakes. To have departments or the employee ask for the same consideration for a pay advance, it also opens the door for potential abuse or fraud. Where do we draw the line? What if we have a situation where an employee is recently divorced, they're a single parent? Are they going to be given the same consideration that this particular employee has been given to be given in advance in pay?
Can I just ask you, because you keep saying advance in pay, and he's simply offering time earned in lieu of, like, to make it right?
He wants an advance in pay. That's essentially an advance in pay.
I guess what my confusion is he's having a deduction right now out of his pay, per pay, to pay back a mistake on our part. And if he were to leave tomorrow, we're gonna turn around and pay.
We'll take it out of his vacation if he would leave.
Right.
Correct.
What about holiday time?
Holiday,
Can we use that time?
that would be considered leave as well. I did offer that he could use any compensatory time that he had earned, because he only had about 11 hours of that. That was actually time worked.
Right.
Um,
So I guess I'm failing to understand is he's worked, one of the benefits of working is having, is earning leave to be used. And he's got this lump sum of leave sitting in a bucket right now that he's just saying, I want to use that to make things right. So you're going to reduce his leave.
But we're essentially giving him an advance in that leave. Are we going to offer that to other employees?
Well, I think it has to be a case-by-case basis on doing that, but I'm just sitting here looking, he's got 80 hours of holiday time. The liability is $1,861. He owes the county about $1,700 and some change. I wouldn't see the problem in letting him, in taking that leave away and reducing that liability to make it right. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and I'll echo that a little bit. I understand policy is policy. I know this mistake probably should never happen. I do want to thank, Deputy Chandler for serving in the United States Army and protecting our country, and pass that on to him for me. And I think certain circumstances deserve a look at to maybe make it right. And I don't think necessarily one policy covers every single situation. I think his situation is unique a little bit. He went out to serve our country, and there was a mistake of no fault of his own. And I look at it where he's earned that time, and that time is money. And he's given his time, he's traded essentially his money in for this mistake. That's no fault of his own. But I don't see a problem with making an exception for this particular situation. And again, would we start a precedence? If there's another problem similar to this, they would have to come in and we would have to take a look at it. So, I'm willing to go ahead and move a motion to allow the earned leave to be used for overpayment for Deputy Chandler.
I'll second that.
Have a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, my cat's in the way here. Yeah, I do have some concerns, and I understand it is a unusual situation, and I have sympathy for the employee I'm just afraid we're opening a Pandora's box, but I think I will probably reluctantly vote for this one, but I want to make clear I'm not endorsing it as a change in policy.
Thank you, Commissioner Ted. Anybody else have anything? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
If I just could, as staff, we could never have approved this because it's a change in policy. Michelle and I do not approve changes in policy, so it would have always had to have come before the commission because it is a deviation. Just so that's understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And tell the deputy chair I'll thank him too for,
I will, sir.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item number 4, public hearing and decision amendment to section 2B2 of the Jefferson County Impact Fee Procedure Ordinance to provide an exemption when structures that existed prior to the adoption of impact fees when requesting a change the issue from commercial to residential.
Do you want to wait until 6:45 to start the public hearing? Since it does require a public
Oh,
hearing.
yes, we better wait. All right, so sorry about that.
I'm happy to go through the change that isn't part of the public hearing, but I think you gotta wait 6:45 to do the public hearing in case there is anybody who would wanna.
You want to jump ahead to something else we can take care of real quick?
All right, well, I think all of the stuff under mine might take a little bit more time, though. We do have David Beamer here for the broadband.
Okay, if he wants to jump on, if he-
David, are you here? Are you available to go ahead and do your presentation?
Yes, I'm here.
How long do you think it'll take?
Oh, it could be as long as you need it.
Short and sweet is preferred.
Oh, all right, I can do that. All right, let me hear.
A little bit later, we just can't start it.
already understood.
I just have a couple like slides here of a PowerPoint. I'll just.
That's sure, so you should be able to, share.
There you go.
Can you see it?
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, so just real quick here. Thank you all for inviting me to join too, by the way. Appreciate it. My name is David Deemer. I work with the Region 9 Planning and Development Council in Martinsburg. I've been helping with the Jefferson County Broadband Committee here for this spring. And I just want to kind of highlight of where we're at today. So the image you see on the left is the fixed wireless projects that were identified by Design 9 for the Jefferson County plan. There was 7 fixed wireless projects identified and 3 pilot fiber studies. What the fixed wireless, there was 89% of the residents and visitors can be covered with fixed wireless broadband. So since the plan was completed back in December of 2020, myself, the broadband committee, we have been kind of dissecting each project, determining the feasibility, the cost estimates, and the true kind of estimate of how many people can be served. So with fixed wireless, it is above the Federal Communications Commission's 25.3 in most circumstances. So I'll move on here. With that being said, we ran into, as more information comes available from the FCC, I did receive some data from the West Virginia Broadband Enhancement Council. The areas you see in yellow are considered unserved and unfunded regions of Jefferson County. That you see, they are directly from speed tests that were done on their website, and they started to compile that data in ArcGIS, and send it over to counties, and I received it from them and put it on a map. And also the purple areas are census blocks that were awarded in the FCC Rural Digital Opportunity Fund reverse auction that was completed in December of 2020. So they have made that very clear that you must be cognizant of the census blocks that are in purple with projects. They do not want overlap of funding in areas where there's broadband. So Starlink and Frontier were the winners in Jefferson County. Starlink you don't have to be cognizant of based off RDOF due to them being satellite internet rather than fixed wireline or fixed service. So something to think about. The funding options kind of right now that we know about here in Jefferson County, the ARP funding for broadband. We were highly advised not only from the West Virginia Broadband Council, but other regional councils that please wait for Treasury guidance because it changes weekly for broadband on what you can use that for and the certain eligibility criteria. So we should be getting more guidance on that in the next few weeks to a month is the timeline that we have heard. Same with the ARP funding for broadband at the state level. Secretary Carmichael stated at last week's West Virginia Broadband Enhancement Council meeting, he has a four-pronged approach for this spending. The first tranche of money is hopefully going to be coming out here very quick. More information on that here early to mid-July is the timeline that we have heard. And that is line extensions and service expansion in the state of West Virginia. So it's just more information coming available, hopefully sooner rather than later. There is an NTIA program coming available right now. The deadline for that is August 17th. It's a covered partnership for fixed provider service. Generation West Virginia is kind of spearheading West Virginia's approach. So we have been in contact with them. I have been in contact with them and kind of expressing interest in participating with that. And not only Jefferson, but just the Panhandle as a whole. Like we need internet. So whatever service and assistance we can provide would be greatly appreciated. And then USDA and community development block grant funding coming available here in the next maybe 5 to 6 months. So we're just working through that and working through projects that are eligible for those types of funding sources. Real quick, I'll go through the projects real fast. I met with the Harpers Ferry Boulevard folks. This the picture on the left was the 180-foot fixed wireless tower right outside of Harpers Ferry on top of the ridge. Determine the feasibility. It's just it was not feasible for that project area. And then we looked at utilizing water tanks, 60-foot lattice towers, and we're just working through the feasibility, trying to find solutions that make sense for that area and get especially the yellow census blocks that are unserved. We're trying to really serve those folks. So we're still working through it. We're finding solutions for Harpers Ferry and Boulevard. This tower was highly recommended. The Jefferson County Health Department tower by Design 9. This was one they highly recommended just based off line of sight to other project areas in the county. It's just equipment upgrades. The structure's already there, and it's just putting the equipment on it and getting it up and running. The cost estimate is from the plans, $41,000 roughly, and plus the point-to-point equipment, depending on how many towers you're going to go to. That may change due to the amount of funding that's available. I've seen cost estimates fluctuate, but I think that's a pretty good estimate for that. There's 100+ addresses that have potential to be served, and like I said, it has a lot of a line of sight to multiple projects throughout Jefferson County. So this was one that Design 9 highly recommended. You probably want to start with, and then kind of go from there. So. Next, moving on here, the Middleway Fire Department, that down in the southwestern portion of Jefferson County. This was also one he highly recommended due to the amount of the service area. This was a brand new tower at the fire department. It was roughly $206,000 plus the point-to-point equipment in order to get the signal, unless you have the fiber backhaul and everything, but that's more to come. And then again, 100+ addresses, unserved folks that can be served by that tower. So moving on here, this is a relatively new one. After this is pretty recent that we've had these conversations with the city of Charlestown and kind of Actually, I found it just by doing a drive one day, and I was like, wait, there's water tanks everywhere. What would that look like? So 5 of the 7 towers don't have any broadband equipment on them. As you can see, the coverage area is rather large for fixed wireless internet outside of the city of Charlestown and Ranson. Estimate 41,000 plus point-to-point equipment per water tank. Again, that could fluctuate based off the needs of some don't have any cellular assets on them, so maybe it could fluctuate. That's we could dive into that a little bit further if you have questions. But like I said, this was a very good project, a couple projects in order to serve folks. Like you can see, a lot of the yellow areas are going to get coverage with broadband. Then last but not least, we have Shepherdstown. I met with Mayor Oxer the past few weeks and trying to determine the feasibility. On the left was the 180-foot tower that was proposed right outside of Shepherdstown, and we kind of discussed other options. We talked about utilizing the water tanks that are right outside of Shepherdstown to serve the folks. As you can see, you can still serve a decent amount of people from utilizing water tanks at a way less cost. So he is going to move forward and kind of determine the feasibility with that. So good things happening, I would say, at each location. Let's just kind of hang tight until we get more information on funding coming from the state and ARP funds or whatever is coming down the pipeline. So real quick, questions? And my information's down, my email's down there too, if anybody wants to write that down and shoot me any more questions that you feel free.
David, this is Jane Tabb. Do you happen to know off the top of your head if all these projects that you've explained to us, what would be the total cost to do them all?
Like I said, it would depend. If you just want to say 41,000 per water tank, and roughly 206,000 plus point-to-point equipment per new tower. But like I said, it's going to fluctuate. So you could choose one tower, you don't want to do another. That's what I'm saying. Cost estimate, it's going to fluctuate on how much you really want to get into it and really how much you want to do. So I hope that answers your question. You could do it all, and then it would be a big budget, or you could just do one pieces at a time moving forward.
But I'd like to get as much done as we can sooner rather than.
Right. And I can, please, I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything coming from the state. It changes by the week.
I know.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any further questions? I don't hear any, not hearing any. Thank you so much, David. I think the broadband is certainly very important. And we learned that in this pandemic. Thank you for all the work you're doing, and please follow up with us once you find out what we can't do as far as the ARP funds.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, guess we'll move on to agenda item number 4, public hearing and decision amendment to section 2E2 of the Jefferson County Impact Fee Procedure Ordinance to provide an exemption with structures that existed prior to the adoption of impact fees when requesting a change in use from commercial to residential.
So this is a change that you have it in front of you. And it basically recognizes that structure and who have been paying taxes essentially now for 17 years because we've had impact fees for that long. Especially commercial structures, they're taxed at a double rate. So they've been paying toward the capital improvements for a pretty significant time. If you look at the breakdown of the tax bill, they've been paying not only on the regular school levy, but they've also been paying on the school bond, because it's definitely a capital improvement question. And they've also been paying general taxes, general county taxes. And we fund all kinds of capital improvements from federal county taxes. And then they've also been paying the excess levy and then also the regular school levy. So they've been contributing toward the, the level of service that we currently have. So this is a change to recognize as a matter of course, if a commercial structure is requesting a change in use and they're requesting a change in use to a residential structure, and they meet these three criteria, they would automatically not be assessed an impact. And then the green is just where I moved something, so that's not a change that was already in the ordinance. I just moved it up so that I could change the structure of the amendment without having kind of an orphan down at the bottom after I added the A, B, and C. So the green was already there, it's just where I moved it. The red is new language. And it would not require you, you'll recall, you did have an applicant, and it required you to kind of pay back that fee if you waived it. This is not a waiver. This is actually saying that pursuant to the Local Powers Act, we are recognizing that these commercial structures have already paid a significant amount toward the capital inventory that the county already has. So basically, it is a change in use from non-residential commercial to a residential or multi-residential structure, and they would be assessed no fee when the following conditions apply. The structure existed as the effective date of the ordinance. The structure has continuously been assessed as a commercial use, and the change in use does not include a substantial addition to the overall square footage. If they meet all three of those criteria, no impact fee will be due, and you're not required to pay it back because it's saying there actually isn't. They don't owe anything because they've already paid.
Okay.
So, are there any questions about that?
May I have any questions? All right.
So we'll open it up now. This is again specifically for the impact fee, the change in the modification of the impact ordinance. If there are any attendees who are interested in making comment at the public hearing for the impact fee changes, you can do so by either raising your hand using the little raise your hand icon, or you can message me and I will unmute you and allow you to make comment, and we'll limit it to 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
It looks like we have a lot of staff. I'm not seeing any takers. We only have about 12 people watching, and a lot of them are counting.
Okay.
And a few people on the outside.
We're not very popular.
I know, not.
Okay.
It's summer and it's.
I guess that's a good thing. All right, well, seeing that we don't have anybody here to make a comment for the public hearing, if there are no objections, I'll close the public hearing. I would like to go ahead and move a motion to accept the amendment to section 2B2 of the Jefferson County Impact Fee Procedures Ordinance to provide an exemption on structures that existed prior to the adoption of the impact fees when requesting a change in use from commercial to residential. Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion's been moved and is properly seconded. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, this is Jane, and maybe not all commissioners remember, we did have in the recent past an applicant that was basically fitting this criteria came before us, and we turned them down for the exemption, but we didn't have this amendment written. And I'm going to support this amendment because I think it is so tightly crafted. It couldn't be abused. I was afraid if we granted the one exemption that that would set a precedence that somebody else could try a slightly different approach and, want to go through with that. But I do think this is a very tightly crafted amendment. I don't think it's going to come up too often, but we shall see. But I'm in favor of it.
Thank you, Commissioner Tabbs. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
And we'll make that effective as of tomorrow.
Sounds good. Is Kelly Franklin on? I know we're running a little bit ahead of
We
schedule.
are, I believe Jennifer Lyons is appearing for her. So yes, she is on.
Oh, hey, there you are.
Hello.
All right, we'll go on to agenda number 5. Kelly Franklin, Jefferson Day Report, FY22 West Virginia Community Corrections Grant Program Award. Go ahead, ma'am, you have the floor.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Lyons with the Jefferson Day Report Center, and I'm currently covering for our Executive Director, Kelly Franklin, who is unable to attend this evening. The 2022 Community Corrections Grant was awarded in the amount of $155,000. We are requesting the Commission's approval and the acceptance of the grant and complete the required documents necessary to execute the grant contract. No further funds are requested, and the required cash match for this grant will be paid through the amount of the Commission provides for the Jefferson Day Report Center in the annual budget. The Jefferson Day Report Center is grateful for the support of the County Commission and is looking forward to continuing services provided through this grant funding.
And I just want to confirm that we do have funding in the fiscal year 22 budget already approved for the county's grant match.
Okay, good deal. Awesome. All right, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? All right, hearing none, I'll move to accept the Community Corrections Grant Program Award for FY22 for the Jefferson Day Report Center. Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Will I be able to pick that up Tuesday?
What's that?
You can sign the paper. Can she pick it up Tuesday?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, not a problem. I'll leave it in the office.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have it. Yes, ma'am. All right. Did you want to move on to the discussion of the ambulance fee?
So our ambulance, the employee in the ambulance fee collector position resigned. The same day, she resigned and left the same day with me. So, but it provides us an opportunity to maybe reevaluate how we're collecting that fee. So we've been collecting that fee with one individual, with support from the rest of the county staff that's kind of housed in the Hunter House. So Michelle's been providing, as we transition to a new billing system, Michelle's been providing the bulk of that support as the county staff supporting the ambulance fee collector. And then Jessica, Sandy, and myself will also fill in. If the collector is out, we kind of all collect the ambulance fee. Trying to get people, we do accept online payments. We're trying to get people to use that more and more. A common complaint that we hear when people pay the ambulance fee is that they don't understand why they can't pay it at the tax office. So a lot of times they come in, they're already coming into town to pay their taxes. They have to go to the tax office and they have to walk up the street and pay their ambulance fee. And they want to know why they can't pay it at the same time. So this proposal proposes moving that collection to the tax office. I don't think that the tax office, that the chief deputy will agree with me that they don't need an additional person. However, we've been doing it with one person for 7 years. We send out the same number of bills, and we actually print and send out our bills versus, I believe the tax office has a third-party vendor print and mail them out for them. But if it requires no net increase in the employees, I'm suggesting that we repurpose the ambulance fee collector position and keep that position in the commission office to do other administrative support tasks. I've attached a job description for that person, keeping some of their ambulance fee duties to help the tax office if they have questions or issues with the billing system. There is an issue in that the tax office does not use Tyler to assess taxes. Tyler does have a tax platform that we could buy, but the former sheriff declined, and I believe the current sheriff would decline to use that system. However, the computers can run 2 systems at one time. Dawn is actually doing that because we have the old ambulance fee system. So she has both of them up on her computer. She has 2 monitors. So we could add another monitor so that they wouldn't have to switch between applications if the tax office were to collect it. It would require an amendment to the ordinance. If you change the point of collection, it will require you to say that instead of being collected in our office, it's collected by the sheriff in the sheriff's tax office. We're so close right now to sending the bills out. So this is kind of a dual request to kind of change that position and also to advertise for the position, which initially would have to do some of the ambulance fee work. I don't want to be unfair to the tax office and ask them to do something at a moment's notice. So we would continue to, at least in the first part, administer that fee, get the bills out. And during that time, we could be training the tax employees on the Tyler system. I have attached an opinion from Attorney General Morrissey indicating that the sheriff cannot decline to collect the fee if the commission does not designate another area for it to be collected. And that is, it was issued to another county, but it would be applicable to our county as well.
Okay.
So what I'm asking to do is to add another, we used to have 3. We are down to just our executive assistant, who, as you know, serves as your executive assistant, our executive assistant, and really the entire county's executive assistant, because if people have questions, they call her. So if the other executive assistants, need something, their point of contact is Jessica, or whoever is holding that position. We're the only office that doesn't have kind of another administrative support person. Most of the offices have 4 or 5 administrative support people. I thought so we would cross-train them. So everything that Jessica does, this position would know how to do as well. So if Jessica is out, or we would have someone who would be able to fill in for that person. They would also keep some ancillary ambulance fee collection duties. And then they would also provide administrative support to the executive staff in the Hunter House, which would be myself, Sandy, and Michelle. They would help maintaining some of our human resources files, which are now online in the Munis system, ensuring that those are scanned in. They would be an initial point of contact for employees who have kind of policy questions. And then that would, filter through me. They would help processing FOIA requests and any other duties as assigned. So that's how I've changed the job description, still keeping them for some ancillary ambulance fee changes. I think that because we do have 2 systems, the tax office will change, they update changes in ownership through deeds in their system. So they have to do that twice. So they'd have to enter it in their system and also the Tyler system. So we could keep a person, if we kept that person in our office, that person could update the changes in deed in the Tyler system. And so the tax office wouldn't have to enter those things twice. So that would be something that they would continue to hold on to for the ambulance fee. I offer a second option, and that's certainly not as much detail as transferring it to the tax office of to the actual ESA. And I don't know what the fiscal impact will be for that. I'm trying to keep it budget neutral so that right now we pay our ambulance fee collector out of the ambulance fee. And the way that I propose making it budget neutral is that if we don't have to hire a person in the tax office, then the collection rate will go up by what we're paying for the collector. And so you would reduce your general fund contribution by what is going up and what we're not taking out of the ambulance fee. And then that general fund would be used to fund the new position. And we're not paying any more. It's the same position. We're just paying them out of different pots of money, if that makes sense.
Also, I have an issue with reducing any type, so to your point is that the collector right now, or Dawn's prior position, Dawn was being paid out of the ambulance fee to do the collection.
That's correct.
I have a problem with reducing general funds going to the ESA reducing anything going to emergency services.
It's not a reduction, so they get the same amount.
Okay, I guess
Because your ambulance fee will go up because we're not taking it out of the ambulance fee anymore. So let's just say the amount is $55,000. Now you're gonna have more, you're gonna have $55,000 more in ambulance fee because you're not taking the salary out of the ambulance fee.
so it's gonna be net neutral to them. However, what we're paying this person
Would be the
to
same.
collect
Yes.
could essentially fund an EMT position. What is the cost to transfer to the tax office?
If they don't have an employee, it's $0.
I mean, have we had that discussion?
When the commission initially wanted to collect the fee, they wanted to put it in the sheriff's office. And the chief tax deputy indicated that she required an additional person in order to collect it.
Okay,
And for whatever reason, the commission created the position under their office.
okay.
So I will tell you that both employees who held this position have said that it is unworkable as one person doing it.
Right.
So we've had 2 people thus far who've held this position, and both of them have said it's too much for one person.
Michelle mentioned earlier that did we hire part-time or temporary staff to help with the billing?
Yes.
We did.
Okay, go ahead.
In conjunction with the person that sent.
The temporary staff was only here to help enter payments for 3 or 4 weeks. It wasn't long.
So they're entering as payments are coming in that people have paid their, okay.
The bulk of the payments come in the fall. We have another bulk of payments coming in after we mail out the late notices. This year it was in January. Late notices are typically mailed out in October, so it would typically all be in the fall.
Right.
Whereas the second part of the year, focus is on reviewing, making sure the deeds are current and reviewing the assessor's files to what our system has to make sure that the bills that go out are correct. And that's not something the tax office normally does.
But billing's currently set up in Tyler system, so how much data entry is needed? Or how much does that change every time you generate or you're getting to do a bill run?
The data entry for payment entry it's 23 to 25,000 bills that go out every year. So that's all done as data entry and keying that in. As far as the deeds that come in, it depends on transfers. Right now, we're kind of in a, selling bubble. So the amount of transfers that are coming in right now are higher than normal.
Mhm.
We get a stack of them every week from the tax office because they also enter the deed transfers in their system. So it's being entered twice essentially. It's not very efficient.
I guess my goal would be, obviously, not to touch any of the general funds that's going to ESA and find out how we can more efficiently generate that billing. Rather that's outsourcing it or whatever, and recoup some of that cost that we're paying for that position to go back to the ESA. That's where I'm coming from. I know it seems like it's net neutral, but from my perspective is, and it's shifting from one bucket to the other, but if you're reducing the general fund and just giving them this $75,000 back, that's just an EMT position over an administrative position. That's how I see it. I don't know if anybody else has any pleasure or not. That's where I'm coming from.
So I guess we have to make obviously two decisions. One, to move the collection location, and 2, to whether or not to fund another admin assistant in the office. Correct? Is that correct?
So I will tell you that I know that the chief tax deputy is going to tell you she was going to need another body to collect it. I mean, that was her position before. I don't see that changing. Obviously, I don't agree with that position, but that's what, it's her office. That's what she's going to tell you. So we are so close in time to the bills going out that, we either need to hire someone temporarily to assist, or, defer the transfer, for a time certain. But right now, we don't have anyone.
So, well, we've got the funds from the ambulance
Yeah.
collection, since Dawn's left, right?
Yes, yeah.
So those funds are available if we had to hire someone on a temporary basis to get this billing cycle out. And then I think revisit, that would be my recommendation, and then revisit where we're going to move it, what we're going to do with it, and how we're going to reallocate.
Mhm.
I would say, I mean, I can make a motion if everybody's in,
Yeah, yeah, question, she had a question.
I just wanted to point out that the American Rescue Plan funds do allow us to use that funding to fill positions that had been cut as a part of the pandemic. And although we're restructuring the nature of that position, we did actually cut an improved position, even though it hadn't been filled. So I believe that the ARP funds in this particular instance would be a potential funding source for the administrative portion.
well, I wouldn't want to presume that right now, right here tonight. I'm just, yeah, and we can revisit that.
We can.
I think right now, so I'm just going to make a motion to direct staff to go ahead and explore hiring a temporary person to come in and help with the building in light of the current situation. For the ambulance fee collector position, and then we revisit how we're going to transfer, what we're going to try to do with that actual position moving forward at a later time.
So you're saying not, your motion is not to transfer, not to transfer the collection spot location?
No. No, I'm not, it's to keep it where it is. We're just going to backfill Dawn with a temporary person to come in and help do the billing and the collection until we can come back and revisit what we're going to do with that.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I know it makes sense. I just, because, so you're saying just leave
It to be temporary help, leave it as is, and temporary help to come in and help the staff get this out until we can revisit whether we're going to go to the tax office or ESA, or we're going to hire a dual person permanently. So we could revisit the rescue plan and see if in fact we can apply that, and then we may come back and actually end up hiring someone.
Because I guess right now is a pretty critical time trying to get the bills out, that you need somebody like ASAP.
Yes,
All right,
because
and
we're gonna
then,
have to train that person.
yeah.
Yeah, how to do it.
So you're gonna, okay.
Can you utilize Debbie at all? Like, I know she's full-time, but out at the ESA, and I know it's another, but could you utilize her to some degree to
So-
help offset some of the
The great thing,
workload?
the great thing about the Tyler system is that you can VPN from anywhere.
Yeah.
So we could take mail out to her and have her intercheck. I mean, she could do that data entry.
Yeah.
If-
I would try to use her as a resource, if you can do that.
So if we go ahead and send these bills, get somebody to send these bills out, the collection spot will still be at the county office. And when will most people start coming in and paying?
Fall, like late August, around that time. So they come in when the taxes are due. Everybody makes their trip in together, so they come in, pay their taxes, and they come up to us.
And they can pay online?
They can pay online, and actually the majority of people just mail a check
Yes.
in. The number of people paying online is increasing every year, but you still have that small segment of the population, the older population, such that who prefer to come and pay.
Right.
I personally would like to go ahead and, I'll go ahead, Jane. Go to Commissioner Ken.
But I think you're muted.
You're muted.
All right, thanks. Now, I'm in favor of going ahead and moving, and I know it's going to take some adjustment, but you send out those bills, people are coming to the county commission office, and that office, when they're in the midst of a meeting and they have any kind of issues or we have questions and staff has to run over information to commissioners and so forth, they really have no backup. And so I'm really in favor of moving the collection to the tax office, sending out the bills and collecting there as soon as we can accomplish it. I think to delay it is not progressive at all. We'll go back farther. We have to get somebody dedicated to that and on the ball right now.
I agree with you on that.
We're getting ready to run the bills. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Commissioner
You got about a
Tab.
month
I just
before.
think, yeah, we're up against the wall. I don't know if we can make it happen that quick to get it moved to the tax office and have all of our ducks in a row. So
And
I
they're
was
gonna tell you that they
suggesting a
can't do it.
temporary person to alleviate staff until we can get that ball moving and figure out how we're gonna make that.
We will be generating the bills on July the 1st. We send them to the printer, they stuff them, and then they're mailed by code. They have to be mailed by July the 31st.
Yeah, so that, I mean, we're not that far away from July 1st. That's the only reason I'm suggesting a temporary person that can come in and help you all do what you need to do until we can get this actually transitioned either to the tax office or making sure we can hire, backfill and hire that dual role.
Okay, so basically moving forward, we'll need two motions. So I will go ahead and move a motion to move the collection location to the tax office. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I had a motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Temporary person.
Oh, I'm sorry, nobody seconded that. No, nobody
Just
seconded.
went into discussion.
Sorry, nobody seconded Commissioner Jackson's motion. But we'll go ahead and if you want to restate that again, we just.
I know you were going to ask me that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I make a motion that commission staff find temporary assistance or help to get the ambulance billing out in lieu of not having the collector in the office or having it transition to the tax office.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Opposed, Jane.
Motion carries 4-1. All right, we're going to move on to agenda item number 6, public comment.
Excuse me, Commissioner Stolper, you had made a motion about making it, moving the collection to the tax office. Are you going to restate that motion now? Or are you going to follow up on that?
We already did.
We already voted on that.
Okay.
Yeah. We voted on that before.
We took it out of order, but we.
Yeah, I went out of order. I apologize.
Okay, all right. I was just a little confused.
Nobody seconds Commissioner Jackson's,
Is there, because I know I'm gonna get asked this when I email in the morning or to say it's been moved to your office. It's just like moved to their office and is there gonna be any discussion about how that's gonna work? So from my perspective, and I said it here, you come in, you pay your taxes and now you're just paying $39 more.
Yeah.
That adds a minute to the,
Right.
to the service that you're providing. It is more data entry. Go ahead.
My only concern with that is, they're still gonna need to write 2 checks. They can.
Yes,
still
that's
do one
correct,
thing. They're still gonna need to write 2 checks.
You did,
We'll
yeah.
point that out.
The code section doesn't allow you to mail them together with the tax bill. It also doesn't allow you to put it all together. But anyway, I'm just,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
I just want to know, I'm in favor of moving it to the tax office, and I'll be frank. If I were the county administrator at the time, I would have opposed having one person administer this program in the county office. It is disruptive to the work that we do. And that person is entitled to take vacation and be sick. And so it means that other staff is moving out to help administer that fee.
Do you have any idea, like, they outsource the
They use SSI.
SSI? Do you have any idea what that cost? Is it something we could,
They actually manage the AS400 system,
uh,
so it's a completely different system.
Yeah.
The only other option would be to move tax once to Tyler. And then it would all be part of the same database, the same customers, the same parcels, if it was all.
It would be double entering.
Okay.
Anyway, I just wanted to know that it's not going to be a popular, I think I should have told you that maybe before you voted. It's not a popular decision.
Well, and, I mean, we gotta figure out what they need and
Okay.
what we're willing to,
Okay.
well, you know, we need a plan
Okay,
to make it
okay.
happen.
Yeah, and this, at the end of the day, I mean, this accommodates the citizens of Jefferson County who we have to accommodate. And obviously it's very inconvenient. Obviously your younger generation doesn't pay their bills online.
Right.
Your older generation likes to drive into town, make the rounds and pay. And having it 2 locations is very inconvenient for our elderly citizens of the county.
And it is a common complaint that we hear all the
Yes.
time.
And this is going to help them tremendously. It's a one-stop shop, and it's something I feel should have been done a long time ago. So,
I'm in a complete agreement. I just know it's the
We are.
deadline to get this
Yeah.
generated, and you all are gonna need help because you're down a person.
and it might be, I know they'll start coming in 60 days roughly, 60, 75 days maybe to start paying. So
You're
we'll-
already paying now, so you have to pay it in advance.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Okay, well, that's always a good thing too. So it'll certainly, I think it'll help. And obviously, I think we'll also see that the more folks are starting to pay more, everything online anyway. And with COVID, I think people have readjusted to do that.
Yes.
So whatever their foot traffic was, even in the ambulance billing department, ambulance fee department, I think the foot traffic has decreased, and I think it'll continue to decrease. It forced people to go online and pay, and now they're just like, hey, this is pretty easy.
And we were the first online game in town, in Jefferson County, so we were the first office to allow people to pay online. So I think as they realize that it's an option for tax, they've only been doing online payments for maybe 2 years.
I had a broken in so they can pay online.
Yes, so, yeah, I think you're gonna see more people move to that online payment, and that's my.
Okay, good deal. Awesome. All right, well, good deal. We'll move on to agenda item number 6, which is public comment. If we have anybody signed up, if you could raise your hand, Stephanie will call on you.
We have 4 people who are not affiliated, who are not employed by us in some order.
Okay.
Let me just check over here to see. We have any takers?
All right. None? Not any takers? All right. And we don't have any takers for public comment, so we'll move on to agenda item number 7. Nathan Cochran, and it looks like Roger Goodwin, adoption and ordinance of in order to memorize, and order the adoption of the amended stormwater management ordinance on October 2020 and establishing an effective date of July 21st, 2021.
Commissioners, I'm presenting you with a draft of this order that was slightly modified from the one that was placed in the agenda packet. And I'll explain to you how it was slightly modified. Roger couldn't be with us tonight because he's on vacation, but he was gracious enough to sign this. I understand.
Sorry.
I mean, he couldn't be with us physically. So essentially what happened here is we had a stormwater management ordinance. And on October the 1st of 2020, there was an amendment made to the stormwater management ordinance to accommodate the solar facilities anticipated in the solar amendment. It's my understanding that on that day, October 1st, 2020, that amendment was adopted by the commission. what this order really is a cleanup of just memorializing that in the form of an order because the county clerk wants an order in order to file. Okay. And so I will tell you what changed in the one from the packet. In the first line, it says an ordinance in order to adopt this amendment to the stormwater management. The former order says adopt the stormwater management ordinance. This was really an amendment to the ordinance. And then on the next to the last paragraph, it says this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced. I believe the prior one said July the 1st, but in reviewing it for this meeting, I changed that to the first day of October 2020, which is when the commission actually made the decision. And then the last paragraph says this order memorializes that the amendment was passed and approved by the commission on the first day of October 2020. So again, like I said, this order really is just memorialization of what's already happened, but the clerk believed that she needed an order in order to file. Roger, do you have anything, or do you all have any questions for Roger? Roger? I'm sorry, I walked on you.
I don't have anything to add.
So,
All right, does anybody have any questions for Nathan or Roger? So I know to discuss this solar facilities. Are we? What was the determination on stormwater with those facilities, that it's still needed, or is that discretion?
no, I believe that it's needed. Roger can speak to this more, but it's just that in the stormwater management ordinance, I guess Roger, the engineering staff, inserted a section that applied specifically to solar farms. Roger, is that correct?
Yes, under the direction of the Planning Commission, in the text amendments that they adopted, solar facilities are required to do two things. They're required to submit a decommissioning plan, and the guidelines for that are outlined in the, well, that was outlined in the bonding policy that we had yet to adopt. And then they also have to, they're either going to have to provide traditional stormwater management, or if they meet the requirements outlined for solar facilities and develop it in the way that's established in the stormwater ordinance, then they essentially get an exemption from those requirements. And the way that it would be developed would cause an insignificant increase in stormwater runoff. And there was a study that was done by the American Society of Civil Engineers outlining what would have to be done in order to result in insignificant stormwater runoff. And that was the basis for outlining what they would have to meet in order to be exempt from stormwater management that would normally be provided by like a subdivision or a commercial project. So that's already established in the ordinance.
All right, good deal. Does anybody else have any further questions? All right, you need a motion to approve this. I move to approve the ordinance, to adopt the amendment to the stormwater management ordinance.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Go ahead.
Hold on, I just want to add and put the effective date of July 1, 2021, and that the county commission adopted it on October 1, 2020.
Yeah, and so that's, Commissioner Tabb, I don't know if you were able to hear me or not, but I changed that in the document that I presented to the folks. And so it now says it shall take effect and be enforced from the first day of October 2020. And in the next to the last paragraph, and the last paragraph says this order memorializes that the amendment was passed and approved on the first day of October 2020.
Okay,
So, yeah, and I appreciate your making sure that. Commissioner Stolper, I suppose that the actual motion should probably say that you're adopting this order, memorializing the passage of the amendment. Probably what you said.
Okay, I will amend it to have the verbiage that Mr. Cochran just suggested. To have it, yeah, I'll just move to adopt the ordinance and order establishing the effective date of October 1st, 2020 for the storm management ordinance amendments adopted. I'm sorry, effective July 1st, 2021 for the storm management ordinance amendments adopted by the county commission October 1st, 2020.
Well, we're saying that it's effective on the first day of October.
Oh, it's effective and adopted, okay.
And adopted.
I'm
And
sorry.
so we're memorializing.
Let me get this straight. Move to adopt the ordinance and order establishing the effective date of October 1st, 2021. 2020, sorry. I'm reading the wrong one here. For the stormwater management ordinance amendments adopted by the county commission on October 1st, 2020. That will be followed on.
It was kind of confusing to me when I was looking at it and finally came up with this version.
Okay.
Good.
All right, good deal.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. All right, Nathan, it's all you, man. So it's the Nathan Cochran hour.
All right.
What items do you want us to discuss and which items do you want to go, if any, under the executive session?
Actually, I don't think that we need to go to executive session tonight.
Okay.
I wanted to discuss my item number 4, which is a couple of agreements, intergovernmental agreements that we have with the town of Bolivar. And you should have them in your packets. I will, there have been a couple of very minor, extremely minor changes to the 2 agreements. And so I'm going to give you the tax collection one first. And really the only agreement, only change in this agreement, I believe, because I worked with Attorney Evan Callis to do this, and she had done the changes after conferring with me. But paragraph 16 has filing requirements, and we edited the former order and said the commission shall file a copy of this agreement with the county clerk of Jefferson County. And we added this, Bolivar will file a copy with the recorder of the municipality, because those are some requirements. Because what has to happen with this is after you sign it, you have to send it down to the Attorney General's office. And then they have to approve and send it back. We have substantially the same document here that we've had for the past few years, and never been an issue. It's been approved. So I don't foresee any issues. I will tell you that it's my understanding from speaking to Attorney Callis that that Bolivar has already agreed to this. And so I have a copy here that I'll give you in a minute to have you sign if you agree with it. And then we will get the sheriff's signature, and Attorney Callis is going to transmit it down to the agent's office for their review, because we need to get it done right away.
Okay.
So I'll give you that contract in just a second. I'm going to give you the second one then and have you review it. And there were a couple of additional changes made in this one, although nothing substantive. There were only a couple of typographical errors. And this part of the statement in one of the preamble paragraphs about the sheriff's constitutional and law enforcement duties. And a couple of typographical errors were changed in paragraph 2 and the criminal justice supplemental services. There were a couple of typographical errors that were changed. I know that one change may not have been made, so I may substitute any page for that. But it's basically just misspellings or maybe not misspellings, the computer picking the wrong word. But there are no substantive changes from the version that was in the packet. Again, in this one, we also added the same thing that I stated in the last order directing that the county clerk to file it and Bolivar file a copy with the report.
Okay.
So I mean, if it's your pleasure, you can move to adopt these two. I have a couple here, and I would authorize you, Commissioner Stolper, to sign it. So if you make that motion, we're done.
Does anybody have any questions for Nathan? And just so the Commissioner Act is new, basically all this is our agreement with the town of Bolivar to provide them police service.
That's right.
Okay.
It provides them a certain amount of law enforcement service, especially on the weekends, and a deputy or two will be stationed up there kind of, and for $160,000.
Okay, good deal. I'll go ahead and move a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the Jefferson County Commission, Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, and the Corporation of Bolivar for tax collection services. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I
Go ahead.
think you also want to, there's two agreements here. You said tax collection services, but we also need to do the public safety services.
Yes, I was going to do both of them, but at two different motions.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry.
I think that's how we should do it, but maybe not. I don't know. All right.
Okay.
Yep. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I would also like to move a motion for the renewal of an intergovernmental agreement between the Jefferson County Commission and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department and the Corporation of Bolivar for public safety services. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Commissioner Stolper, here are two blank documents that you can.
All right. All right, very good. Thank you, Nathan. Do you have anything else for me?
No, we're waiting on some information from folks on some of the other things, so I have, keep placing them on here because when we get the information, we can move forward and we don't have to have a special commission meeting or anything like that.
Okay.
One matter that the commissioners should consider and would be in my item number 2. We've been talking about bonding and related matters. And just to put this in your minds, and we need to bring it up soon to deal with it. Roger and probably Alex and I consulted with him. We're about consulted with him But they created primarily Roger created a bonding policy for the solar farms. And so in the meantime, the state also created a policy that is going to be memorialized now, I think in 2232 1 essay. So at some point in time in the near future, we need to decide, are we going to adopt the policy that Roger created, or are we going to adopt the policy that the state created for, some other. So that's just something for you to be thinking.
Okay, good deal. No problem. It would probably be good that if we just had them put on an agenda item at some point and have a side by side comparison. And so we can take a look at them and maybe the pros and cons. If the state version is okay, maybe we just go to the state and there's no sense of duplicating that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, and of course, it's your all's decision, to me, it makes no sense to try to have them do two bonds.
Yeah.
And so I think we should take either one or the other and go with it.
I agree. All right, thank you. All right, do we have anything else? County Commissioner reports?
I sent out an email today with some confusion, but the governor ended up declaring tomorrow a state holiday, which makes it a holiday for us as well. So county office will be closed. We'll close on Monday because West Virginia. So just a reminder.
Doesn't give you time to plan vacation or anything.
Right, it doesn't.
Like any other way.
But you know what, there's nothing nothing lights up my phone more than a potential holiday from the governor. Because he's done this before, he'll kind of, the day before he'll give a holiday. So I just wanted to remind you of that, and I don't think I have anything else.
So we're, the county offices will be closed Friday again, Monday. Okay. All right, good deal. County Commissioner reports, I'll start with, it's Caleb. Caleb still on?
Yeah, I'm still here. Had C-Tub, Board of Health, but nothing major to report.
All right. Commissioner Farrar?
Been having a couple committee meetings for Farmland Protection Board. We are receiving and processing new applications. So that's always good to know. And I am hopefully going to be able to appear in person at our next county commission meeting. I had a close relative with a compromised immune system, and regular medical treatment was delayed because of COVID, and it took a long time to get the COVID shot. But that's all been done. So I think I'll be good to go to mingle a little more next week or in 2 weeks. So that's my big news.
Okay. Commissioner Ath?
Yeah, I had just gone to the Parks and Rec meeting yesterday. Nothing major to report, but they will be coming to the meeting next week about the ARP. There's some things they're looking for funding for, and I know they'll be happy to hear about the money from the hotel and motel taxes. So that's about it.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, so most everyone knows at this point, but Director Kaiser is retiring from the ESA. His last day is the 25th. There was a selection committee appointed by the board that advertised and interviewed applicants for his position, for the director position. The selection committee advanced some finalists onto the board, and at our special meeting, I believe it was the 8th, the board interviewed and selected Captain Berner to replace Director Kaiser as the new director of ESA. Also, just want to mention there's 2 3-year term citizen representative seats that are coming open June 30th. So anyone interested, please go to the county website and look at the criteria. It is a citizen member seat, both seats are citizen members for the board.
Okay, thank you. It is, it's the CBB, we had a meeting this week. They're very excited. There certainly seems to be an uptick in visitors to Jefferson County. People are coming out and they're very excited right now. So, I'm also on the Development Authority Board. I will tell you that the lot sales have certainly been great this year. So it seems like every meeting there's a discussion about another lot or negotiating some lots at the development at the Burn Industrial Park. So it's always good stuff. I don't have anything else. You have anything else, Stephanie? Just a reminder, we'll be back here. Is that's a hybrid meeting on?
We did it as a virtual,
Okay.
but I mean, I'm here, we're always here, so we could do it as a hybrid if you wanted to.
What do y'all prefer?
I prefer to be present in person.
Okay. And so we can, it could be hybrid. That's fine. This is right. So we'll be back here Wednesday, June 23rd at 9:30 a.m. to receive input from department heads, elected officials, boards, outside agencies regarding the use of American Rescue Plan monies. All right, if there are no objections, we are adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you all. Have a good evening.
Was that quick enough for you? Was that quick enough for you tonight?